Hello friends, I welcome you all to this session on C programming. Before I start solving some very beautiful problems, I have to tell you something about arrays. Now, at the outset, try to understand this example first. So let's say I'm having a student A and I'm interested in filling 4 marks for this. Let's say in maths he has acquired 50 and in chemistry he is having, let's say, 60 marks. In physics, let's say 90 marks. Okay. And let's say in English he is having 80 marks. Take one more subject. Let's say in physical education he is having 60 marks. So these are the marks obtained by student A in examination. So if only one student is there, so I am not at all bothered because I am having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables to declare. I will be asking the user to supply these 5 values from the keyboard, and then I will be in a position to find out the sum as well as the average of the my student, and then declare the result. But the real problem comes that, let's say in a class I am having 500 such students, and for every student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables will be there. So in totality, 5 fives are 25. So I'll be having 2500 variables. Look, huge number. Then how to handle this? So whenever we have to enter some similar data for a particular task, then it is better to use arrays. What are arrays? Arrays are basically those uh, data types, you can say, which is capable of holding more than uh, one, or let's say 20, 100, 200, 500 elements of similar data type. So this can be thought of as a user defined data type. So here, if I just have to write this for A, what I have to do? Here it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is 50, 60, 90, 80 and 60. How beautifully it has been done. So sequentially, we have placed all the elements, and these elements are nothing but the marks obtained by this student A in different subjects. And now I have to declare this as an array. So how to declare a variable as an array? Like this. You write the name of the variable, and in the square bracket you pass the number of elements. So there are 5 elements, so I'll be writing 5. That's it. So an array is a collection of similar data members, and they are written normally using square brackets. Inside the square brackets, you will be writing the number of elements you want to be inside that particular array. And what will happen? So look the beauty. So if this is an integer type, okay, so let's say it is integer. So what is the size of this a? So one integer, let's say it takes 4 bytes. So the size will be 4 times number of elements. So if this is 5 here, so this will become 20 bytes. Oh, great. So now inside the stack, one single variable will be stored, and that variable will be having a sequential memory. So in a single line of that memory, it will be getting the elements. It will be storing the elements. It is very beautiful. In fact, this is also the address of that particular array. So that is how you declare the array. How to initialize array? It is again very simple. You do what? There are several ways. Let's say I'm having 5 elements. I can initialize it right now. That is 50, 60, 90, 80 and 60. So just after declaration, let's say it is of integer type. So just after declaration, so this is what declaration is, and then I have immediately initialized it. Okay, so now the elements will be placed inside that memory. How? Like this. So first element, that is this one, will be having this position, then this, then 80 and then 60. Basically this particular one is indexed. So this is 0th index, this is first, second, third and fourth. So in this way, elements are kept inside the array in sequential order, and this sequence is something which is of great importance to us. Now, is there any another way of declaring array? Yes, you can. Let's say I'm having array B. I do not pass any argument. And the moment I do not pass any argument, then the compiler will be expecting some initialization here. So what I can say, 50, 60, 90, 80, and let's say 60. So what will happen? The moment array will be created, the element will be passed in it. Do I have to, or is this particular number optional? Yeah, for this type of declaration and initialization, this is optional. By default, the compiler will get to know that there are 5 elements inside. So it will create an array of having a size 5. Very simple. But you are not permitted to write this. If you are declaring like this, so this is wrong. Because in priori, compiler will not be knowing that how many elements are there or what space should I create. So therefore, this is not permitted. This type of initialization is permitted. This type of initialization is permitted. Apart from this, what you can do is you can initialize the array like this. Let's say 10 elements are there, and then as already you have seen that it is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So you can use a counter to supply the data from the keyboard to that particular array. How that can be done? Very simple, using for loop. I0, I less than, so 10 elements are there, and then I plus plus. Then what I'll be doing, I will be asking the user, so scanf, so there will be one string there, printf enter the element, then scanf, then percentage dy, because the data is, let's say, integer type. If it is a float, then I can write percentage f, then add the address of that array, that is d, and what place? Ith place. So at the ith location, I have to transfer the data. So in this way, I can supply the data from the keyboard to the array. And in the similar way, we can print it. So let us head to the editor and see how this can be done. So let's say I'm having integer type array A. I'm declaring it right now. Let's say 4 elements are there. Okay. So this is a valid declaration. So if I run it, let's say I'm running it. So it has successfully compiled and run. So the output is 0. So that means the program is successfully run, has run. So now, is am I permitted to leave this square bracket empty? Let us see. So if I do it, it will say array size missing in A. Yeah. So we have to supply the size in this particular case. So let's say I'm writing this, then this is a valid declaration. Okay. Now, how to supply data? Very simple. I can supply here, let's say 3, 5, 1, 8. Okay. So there are 4 elements. I have supplied 4. And let us run it. So it has successfully run. No problem. And how to fetch the data means how to print it. So printf percentage d, and what is the name of array? It is A. What index I have to pass? So basically I have to get the data via index. So it is 0th index, first, second, and fourth. Okay, 0, 1, 2, sorry, third. So let's say I'm interested in second. Okay, and let us run it. So if I run it, I'll be getting answer 1. Why? Because at my second index, I'm having number 1. So it is 0, 1, 2. So this is 1, and this has been printed. Or let's say third index. So third index, the data is 8. So it has printed 8. No problem. What if I ask to say 4? Will I be getting any error? And if at all I am getting, then why? Friends, in this case, the index is 0, 1, 2, 3. So the maximum index in this array is 3. So if I write 4, then it should be an error. But by default, it will not show that error, but what it will give you? A garbage. So you should be very, very, very cautious while writing indexes. Now, I also said that you can leave the square bracket empty if you are initializing it there itself. And let's say I'm interested in the second index. Yeah, you can do it. So at the second index, you are having this element 1. Okay. Now, let's say I have initialized the array with 10 number of, or let's say 5 elements, and I'm just supplying only 2. Then what will happen? So inside the array, inside the memory, it will reserve 5 elements or 5 spaces for it. But I am only supplying 2. So what will happen to rest 3? It will give me 0. So for that, printing every element, I can use loop for int I0, oops, I less than the number, that is n, and then I plus plus. And inside the loop, what I can do is I can simply say print I, and let us print every element in the new line. And to make this look more better, so let's say this, and percentage d, and then equal, and I will be writing I here, and let us run it. So there is a mistake. So it is saying n is not defined. Yeah, we don't have any n. So I am having 5 elements. So this is what it will give. So at the 0th and first location, it will supply 3 and 5. Okay, because that is what we have said. But remaining we didn't have given. So by default, it will give you 0 there. Okay. Now, let's say I'm writing here 6, and let's say I'm running it. So it is giving me again 0. So basically, you should remember the size. And there is something which you should also know. Let's say I am having huge number of elements inside, like this. Oh, sorry. Like say it is 22 and 25 and 100. So there are so many elements, and I am unable to count it, let's say. Then how many elements are there inside this? I should be knowing it. Then only I have to write the number here. So what you can do is int, let's say I'm declaring a variable size. Okay. And I'm initializing it with, there is a function known as size of. So if I pass a, so it will give me the size of this particular array, whole array. And if I divide this by the size of any element inside, let's say 0th element, so what it will do is, it will, now you friends, you know that this is integer array. So every element in present inside it will be an integer having 4 bytes. So total size divided by 4 will be the number of. So let us print this, printf percentage d size of array is this, and inside this I will be writing this variable name size. Oh, where it has gone. And let us hide this portion of code for the time being. Okay, and let us run it. So now you can see there are 19 elements in totality. So this size of function is of great use too. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make this size as n, and let me write it here. And now what I'll do is, instead of this 6, now I'm having this n. Okay, and let us run this program. So if I run this, sorry, S has come. So if I run this program now you can see. So total 19 elements are there. Okay, so it is starting from 0 up to 18, because index is starting from 0, so maximum index can only be 18, and all the elements have been printed. Okay, so in this way you can declare an array, you can initialize the array as well, and at the same time you can print the array. Now let's say I want the user to supply that size of array. How can I do it? So I can simply say int I declare variable n here. Then what I do is I print this statement, that is supply the size of array, and then to the address of n. Now if this is done, then Once n is known, then I can supply this n as the size of array. And once this has been done, then what I can do? Now I can ask the user to supply the elements of that array. So how can I do it? As I know that it is arrays are indexed, so I can use again a counter I to supply the data. So what I'll do is I'll copy this, and here uh, what I'll pass supply the element at ith index, and here mm, so here I'll be writing I, and then I will be asking for the data at that location. And what location? Ith. So I have to write AI. Okay. So in this way, I have to supply the data. So let us run this program. So it is saying scan S. Have I done something wrong? SANF, where I have written it. Okay. So it should be SCAN, scanf. So if I run this program now, it is saying supply the size of array. Let's say I am having 5 elements. Then it is now telling supply the element at 0 index. Let's say it is 10. First index 20. Second index 30. Third index, let's say 45. So how many indexes are there in total? 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So one more is there because total elements are 5. So let's say 25. So now it will print all the elements. So it's A0, 10 and so on. So friends, in this way, you can ask the user to supply the data from the keyboard to the array. Okay. And now you already know every aspect of array, how to handle it, and how to supply data to it, how to fetch data from an array, how to declare array, how to initialize array, everything now you know. One more thing has been left. So to understand it, let me tell you that where that particular array is getting stored inside, or how to know the address of that array. So if I say printf new line, the address of array is now percentage u unsigned integer I am taking. So what I can say is I can simply pass the name of array in place of that address. That's it. So this is not only the name of array, but at the same time this is pointing to the address of that particular array. So if I enter it now, let's say 2 elements are there. So the address of array is this one, 642200. Basically what it is, what whose address is this? Array means what? There are so many elements. So this is the address of the first 0th element. So to understand this, let us do one more thing. Let us write here the address of 0th element. So what is the address of 0th element? It is A0. Now I have to tell that the address of a particular element. So if I run it, so let's say again 2. So now you can see the address of array and the address of 0th element of the array, they are same. What does this mean? This means that array pointer or array variable, which is nothing but pointing to the address, will always be pointing to the first element of that particular array. Okay, so in this way you can declare, initialize the array, supply data from the keyboard, fetch the data, print the data and so on. So what I'll do is in the next lecture, I will take some problems so that you can understand it. And one more thing, the array which I have discussed with you today is nothing but a one-dimensional array, because a one-dimensional sequence is used to supply the data. Not only this, you can go for two-dimensional arrays where the not only the rows but the columns will also be there. And two-dimensional array you have already seen as matrix. So in this lecture, till this point only, in the next lecture, we'll be solving some problems. Thank you very much for watching it.